We got a positive update on Alex Sarr. He began to work out with the team in a non-contact form for the first time in training camp. A clip has surfaced of him shooting three-pointers from the outside. I've got some thoughts about his game and how it might shape up in the 2025 campaign and what it means going forward. I'm going to tell you on Locked On Wizards today.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you're locked on to the Washington Wizards. We're a part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Where does your team every day subscribe? We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. The DC Sports content creating savant alongside Abdullah Ayubi. Check him out, the host of the DNB Sports Zone page. I'm Ben Strober. I cover all things DC Sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. You can check me out on my social media at Strober Sports. AB, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I can see you fully. No Wi-Fi qualities. Shout out to Ben getting a new router, fixing the Wi-Fi issues.
I didn't do anything. I don't know what happened. I have no idea what the hell has been happening to me the past couple of days. But thankfully, my internet has worked well enough that I've been able to see some of the clips that have surfaced from camp. Shout out to all the reporters that have had the chance to be out there because I haven't the past couple of days, unfortunately, but hoping to get back to the facility. I will be there on Sunday when the Wizards open up their preseason slate against the Toronto Raptors, Sunday at 3 p.m. We will have a reaction pod out for you. Following the conclusion of that game, hopefully we will see some good things. I don't think we'll see Alex Sarr, considering that the update that we got yesterday is that he began to work out with the team in non-contact drills. And we started to see some clips that him operating on a defensive side of the basketball. They were wearing some green jerseys, though. Didn't look like anyone was really going at full speed at that point. And then the clip surfaced of him getting up some three-point shots after practice. And AB, you said you noticed right away that you maybe noticed a difference in the way his shot looked. What did you see?
I guess shout out to Chase Hughes, a reporter that I was watching his tweet, and like the end of the shot, it just looks different from what I was looking at. But again, maybe last season when I was watching him shoot three-pointers from the TV point of view. But this video, you can see it like from side to side, like standing right next to him, and it looks a little more like, I don't explain it. The end is just like whoa, like followed through. But again, I'm not a shot doctor. And
is it like wonkier to you?
I don't even know how to say, I don't even want to say wonky because I don't want it to have a negative connotation. But I'll just say it looks a little different. Which in today's NBA, Ben, if you make it, it doesn't matter. I don't care. For all you can just throw it up like that or throw it like it doesn't matter as long as you can make it. And I'm hoping that his shooting splits this season is going to be better because I know it was 100 made three-pointers made this past season, and he broke a record of some sort. I think with his game hopefully being more aggressive, that three-point shot will be more of a threat.
The one thing I'm almost concerned about in a way, and I'm not going to like overreact and say I know this is how he's going to play this year because it's a clip of him getting work from the outside. That's very normal that you'd see a guy that made 100 three-pointers consistently working on his three-point shot. That's great. But do the Wizards, is that what they want him to be? Do they want him to be a stretch four player instead of a traditional big? Because the way it stands right now, the Wizards don't really have any bigs outside of your depth pieces you have in Marvin, Bagley, Tristan, Vuckevic as well. I'm going to touch on those guys in the third segment here and how I think they can step up and maybe help out Alex Sar. I'm not sure if the Wizards really believe Alex Sar is going to be a dominant post player offensively. I know they're super high on him defensively because every single question that was asked to Will Dawkins, to Brian Keefe, they were ranting and raving about how good they think he is defensively in the post, how he was great on the perimeter, one of the best switch defenders in the entire league last year as well. But offensively, I just have some genuine concerns about what we see from him offensively because you love to see a guy that can stretch the floor, that can knock down 100 three-pointers, albeit he did it at a 30% clip, so you'd like to see that improve a little bit more here in year number two. But when you just look through the shooting splits for Alex Sar, for a guy that is a 7-footer, nearly 7'1", and the biggest player that you'll have on the court for this team, somebody that you should have your playmakers relying on to help get them assists, operate out of the pick and roll, get to the basket, he was really just abysmal from super close range. From 0 to 3 feet from the basket last year, he shot 17%, which is almost shocking to me.
Yeah, that
how are you shooting at such a poor rate from that distance from the basket? And I know part of it was because he's doing this thing. He's fading away. He's shying away from the contact at times, and maybe that's going to get better this year. He says he's worked on his physicality and his post presence, but maybe the Wizards don't envision him being that type of player. That's just kind of the way I'm looking at it right now, because if he doesn't improve in year number 2, I'm going to start to wonder if the Wizards have bigger plans in the future when it comes to the 5. Yeah, maybe you have Alex Sar be your stretch 4 of the future, a guy that you can have play on the outside, maybe get you some buckets here and there on the inside, but mostly be a really good interior rim defender. If that's his role, fine, but you need to find somebody that can really play a traditional 5, somebody that's going to set you those big body screens for your Bub Carringtons, your Tre Johnsons, your Keyshawn Georges. You need somebody that can play in that role, somebody that goes and gets you 10 to 12 board games, somebody that dominates right at the rim. We need that kind of player offensively if we're going to compete in the future. I don't know if Sarr is going to be that type of player, and I don't know if the Wizards believe he's going to be that type of player. That's just how I'm feeling right now. I could be completely proven wrong. I'd be very happy to do so, but that's my main concern right now.
Yeah, 17%, Ben, that is a little concerning, and I definitely think hopefully he hits up to 30% or 35% this upcoming year. And I saw a comment, Ben, that someone said, I forgot who it was, but they mentioned how maybe Alex Sar is trying to be a LaMarcus Aldridge type of role here. And everyone remembers LaMarcus Aldridge's mid-range shot, how he can shoot the ball well. Didn't really play down low that much, but maybe if Alex Sar can have some type of resemblance of that, but also defensively, we know how great he can be. That aggressiveness, we're hoping that it can be there. But if the Wizards aren't asking him to do that, then it's a whole different situation. But then it brings up the point that you brought up. Who's going to be that 5? Is it going to be a guy that you're going to get in the 2026 draft class? Are you going to trade for someone at the trade deadline? Like, what's the situation there? Because we brought up the idea. We keep bringing up the theme that this front court is very thin. Outside of Marvin Bagley, Tristan Vuckevic, Keyshawn George, he can play the 4. Alex Sar, you don't really have someone that can be that paint presence. We're hoping it's Sar, but outside of him, I mean, Tristan Vuckevic, can he be that guy? Probably more suits towards the 4. This team desperately needs help rebounding, and it starts with a big man. If we're thin at that position, then what's the move here in the future? And we're hoping those questions will be answered by the trade deadline.
Last year saw 58 dunks in his rookie year. You'd like to see him improve on that total, because he's a guy you feel like if you get him the basketball down low, there should be an opportunity for him to dunk all of the time. Only 58 last year, and really his most effective range doesn't have the number of attempts that he took from this range. 16 to the three-point line, 16 feet to the three-point line, that is. He shot nearly 40% from the field, and then from 3 he shot 30%. But ultimately, his 2-point numbers with the 0 to 3% being only 17% were a struggle. And in the Eurobasket, though, he was a lot better from 2-point range. I can get the stat for you in a minute, but I just remember from watching his games in the Eurobasket, he looked a lot more efficient, shooting around the rim, looked more comfortable. So maybe that's a good sign he is going to play that way. But he also did have some tendencies to play from the outside at times, just like he did last year. You have a lot of possessions that might end up empty, though, if you see Alex Sar kind of hanging out at the top of the key and shooting a 3. Because given how the Wizards are size-wise, if you have Sar up top launching a 3-pointer and he doesn't make it, the possession's automatically over. Nobody's going to get the board unless Keyshawn George becomes some ultimate horse on the offensive glass on a given night, or someone like Bilal could chip in. But who's going to be out there getting the board? Unless you're running a 2-big lineup with TV out there, or Marvin Bagley. If Sar's up top shooting a 3, the possession's over. You better hope he makes it. And based on his numbers last year, he's not quite there yet as a 3-point shooter as you'd maybe hope him to be, if that's going to be his kind of role.
Yeah, and I definitely think he will be better when it comes to his 3-point shooting splits this upcoming year. It's just like you mentioned, that concern of who's going to get back on defense, who's going to get the rebound. That's the main thing right here. Yeah. It's just like, what are we doing?
We're not getting rebounds.
And again, Ben, we were so bad at rebounding this past season. I mean, can it really get worse this upcoming year? We can't lose the paint battle every single freaking night. I understand that we're thin at the position, but if we want to be a team that competes, it all starts in the paint. As much as we love 3-point shooting in today's NBA, in the paint area, if you can dominate that, you can basically dominate the other team.
It's unfortunate to me, and I give so much credit to Dawkins in the front office for what they've done, and I'm not knocking them at all for this, but I really do wish they had a veteran presence alongside Alex Sarr to help teach him the position, allow for him maybe to play more of a stretch four role while he learns to play the five long term. And maybe the rationale for it, you could say if Dawkins were face to face, he'd say, well, wouldn't you just want Alex Sarr to get the reps straight up so he can get better? And I'd say, okay, like I can understand that thinking. But last year, having a guy like Jonas Valanciunas, a very, very serviceable veteran player that was pretty comfortable in what his role was here. He had the understanding of what he was going to do here before he ultimately would get traded away at the deadline. And I think Sarr was able to learn a lot from a guy like that. And I think it's important for development to have somebody that truly is able to teach the tricks of the trade at the position. The center position is one that you're constantly developing as a player, and I think it really does take time. And that's why I'm not trying to say I don't think Alex Sarr will ever be a post player or an offensive post maestro by any means. I think there's still plenty of time for him to develop in that kind of player, but the tendencies he had on the court last year, and based on kind of what we're hearing about him in year number 2, because they're going to want him to shoot a lot of threes again. It's pretty evident that they're going to shoot a lot of threes this year. They said they're hoping that all the threes they take are going to be good shots and not bad shots. That's one thing that Corey Kispert brought up. He said, yeah, everybody wants to shoot a lot of threes, but there's teams that just take a lot of threes and teams that take good threes. We want to be a team that's actually taking high percentage shots. So hopefully Sarr is part of that equation because he took some pretty low percentage opportunities last year, and that's probably why his numbers were as bad as they were efficiency-wise. I just wish they had that veteran presence next to him. I think it would do him a lot of justice, but maybe we'll see some of these other guys step up in a way and try to servicely help him out in that way.
Yeah, and some of those shots also were taken by Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole, so we're hoping that the shot selection this upcoming year is going to be better. And who knows, Ben? Like you mentioned, JV was that good vet. I don't know. Like it's just like it's like two sides to the story where it's like you go out there, he has no one to help him, therefore he'll figure it out himself. But also, he's still a young guy who's transitioning from the Australian League to the NBA, so we'll just have to see how it pans out.
The Australian League was just so different. And really, since I've taken over this role here on Locked On Wizards, I've gotten the opportunity to watch some more of his tape, and it's a very different style of basketball. And I could see where people would come from saying it's going to take a lot of time for him to adjust to the physicalness that is needed to play in the post in the NBA. So hopefully you see him work that out, work out the kinks, and get better overall as a post player. And maybe you always see him shooting so many threes in practice right now because that's about what he can do. I think the calf's still limiting him a little bit. I think he's going to be ready for the opener. That's what we were told by Dawkins at Media Days, that Alex Sarr would probably come back toward the end of camp, which is about where we are right now, start to work out a little bit, do some non-contact stuff, and who knows? We haven't found out who's obviously playing or not playing in the preseason. I probably would imagine he's not going to play on Sunday, but maybe he plays in some of the later ones. But we'll just have to see. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that Alex Sar this upcoming year, whatever role he does end up fulfilling, I hope he does it at a higher rate because at the end of the day, we want this kid to be a face of this franchise. As much as we love Tre Johnson, after him, and I'd say probably Cam Whitmore, I think Alex Sar is the next guy when I'm looking at him and be like, yo, you can be a star here.
Well, actually, one thing I wanted to bring up, one of our viewers said, I think we're putting too much pressure on him. Like, think about Chet Holmgren in Oklahoma City. Don't you think he could be like that level of player ultimately and serve his role? And I said, if Alex Sarr turns into somebody as good as Chet, I think we're just fine.
I agree.
The Wizards would be damn good if you got the production that Oklahoma City got out of Chet. He was a instrumental piece in what they did offensively and defensively last year. I mean, you saw that one game in the finals. I can't remember if it was game 3 or 4, or maybe it was 1 or 2 where Chet just dominated. That's what you need in terms of physicality. You could give Chet the ball down low, and he will take it to anybody.
And remember, Ben, he didn't play his rookie season. So
he didn't. And the first year where he actually played, his numbers offensively were a little bit more pedestrian. His rebounding numbers were lower. I think he was at 7.5 after his rookie season of playing. So maybe that is a potential comparison you could see in terms – because like the way those guys move is kind of similar. I feel like Sarr with the basketball in his hands and his ability to move off the ball looks a little bit similar in a way. Like a taller, lanky build. It's hard to determine how these guys are going to pan out in the NBA and which ways they're going to develop. And Josh Robbins actually has an article out in The Athletic that I haven't been able to read yet because it just came out like an hour ago that talks about how lanky centers develop in the NBA and what scouts and experts are saying about Alex Sarr. So I'm definitely going to check that out after we're done recording this. But it's just interesting to me. I think Alex Sarr could be poised for a surprisingly big year offensively, and I really hope we do see that development, especially in the paint. He's got to be better from the 0 to 3 feet range. That's the bottom line.
100%, 100%.
All right, real quick, we are going to take a quick break. When we are back, Tre Johnson, man, we said he's obsessed with basketball, and the meme continues to grow. That's all I'm going to say. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers, yes, you, can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I'm using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet. Player props, same-game parlays, throwing a teaser in there, or just jumping live as the action unfolds. That's my favorite way to do it. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on the fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. I don't know if it's a meme at this point anymore, Abdullah. Like, I really don't. But insane interaction today from between the media and C.J. McCollum. And Varun Shankar, the Washington Post, they were asking C.J. McCollum about how the NBA season, it's a marathon. The learning process for rookies is figuring out when you should be working out, when you should rest. And in that clip, somebody literally yells at Tre Johnson, get off the court, like, rest, please. Because he's out there getting up shots after practice.
And I think this is what Tre Johnson is going to be known for, Ben, for the rest of his life. A guy that truly embodies ball is life.
It's honestly, it's insane to me because it became such a focal point at media day. They're like, yeah, this guy, I don't know, he kind of just seems like he doesn't really do anything but play basketball. It's kind of weird. I don't know, but like, I don't think it's weird. I think it's great. I think it's going to mean he's a really special player in this league. And C.J. McCollum, he's so wise. He's got the wisdom. I love the way he speaks. I love hearing C.J. McCollum speak to the media. He's definitely going to be a fan favorite around here for sure. One, because he's going to be really damn good on the court, but he always just says exactly what, as a fan, what as a member of the media, you want to hear. And he said, look, it's funny and all, and it's great that he is so obsessed with basketball and he takes it this seriously. He's going to be special for that reason. But it's going to drive him crazy at some point if he's going through an 82-game season and he doesn't figure out another way to take his mind off basketball. I'm not worried about that whatsoever because I think the time will come. I think Tre Johnson eventually, as he goes through the grind of the season, you're going to have your ups and your downs throughout your rookie year. He's going to find ways to maybe find his zen outside of basketball a little bit. I'm not really worried about that whatsoever. I think it's a good sign overall that you have somebody that is dedicated to the craft, that is dedicated to what it takes to win. And it's all part of that culture that we're talking about, the Wizards are trying to build. And yeah, you don't have the winning part of the culture yet, but Tre Johnson is a guy that is determined to win. That's why he was able to put that Texas team on his back in so many games last year. SEC Freshman of the Year, dominating against... You realize how many 23 and 24-year-old Tre Johnson was playing up against last year? Because how stupid college basketball is right now. All the NIL crap. You literally will be 18 years old, and you're going up against grown-ass men. Grown-ass men who will never play in the NBA just because they don't have whatever it takes to be in the league for whatever reason. Tre Johnson's out there cooking those dudes. They have 5 years of college basketball, and Tre Johnson out there straight cooking them. Night in, night out. Now he goes to the league where the competition is stiffer. And now he's finally one of the young guys. Now everybody that's around him is actually going to be closer to his age. He was going up against older players in college basketball than the NBA. It's insane.
That is absurd. I always talk about that. Was a big reason why I loved him coming out of college, Ben. It was what he did at such a young age compared to his competition and doing it at the highest level, the SEC, the most fierce competition in all of sports.
Yes. It's just like... You're going up against 23-year-olds. It doesn't even make sense. This is why it's so hard to break through as a college player at 18 years old because you could get recruited to a legitimate program like Texas, but hey, or you go to Auburn. Oh, sorry, we don't have a spot for you because we got 5 dudes right now in the starting lineup. They've all been in college basketball for 5 years. They give us the best chance to win.
They were comparing, Ben, the Auburn average age of starting lineup to the Thunder. When the Thunder were that finals run, and it was similar, which is insane.
Compare them to the Wizards. Auburn's an older team than the Wizards last year.
Yeah, that's, man, third youngest team in the NBA. Again, going back to Tre, Ben, I just think this season, I really hope the biggest thing. I don't know. I know it's not going to happen. I don't want to be skeptical, but I hope the Wizards do their best to maximize his rookie year. I don't want him to be held back at all. As much as I love C.J. McCollum and Chris Middleton and all these other older guys that are ahead of him probably in the depth chart, I want to see Tre Johnson play, Ben. Like, this is the guy that's the selling point. He's going to be a big reason why Wizards fans, the limited Wizards fans, are going to be at games that are going to be there and say, hey, I came to watch Tre Johnson play. There is no reason in hell that you allow this kid to be limited his first year. Go out there and let him, don't put him on a leash, anything, whatever. Go out there and say, hey, you ball out. We saw what you did in Texas. See what you can do your rookie year.
He's too good to be limited. That's the bottom line. I think he's going to prove that, whether it's in the preseason, whether he's already done it in camp. We ain't able to see that, what he's doing exactly in practice. He could be out there straight cooking dudes every single moment of practice, but we're not seeing it. We're not hearing about it. Preseason will be really telling, maybe, into what kind of role we're going to see from him. You're not going to see the vets play as much in the preseason, so that's going to be an opportunity for Tre Johnson to go out there and showcase to the coaching staff, showcase to the front office, look what I'm going to do when I'm out there on the floor. I don't care if it's a preseason. I don't care if it's a summer league. AB, he told you. He said every game, the summer league, he said, this felt like another game to me. I was just trying to go out there and play my best. That's the kind of mentality that you like to hear from Tre Johnson. That's what you want to hear. You're going to expect from him in the preseason. I think he's too good to be limited, and I think the organization knows that he's too good to do so. Even if he does come off the bench, you see him playing starter-like minutes, getting opportunities the way a starter would. That is what's going to benefit him. You can have him learning day in, day out behind C.J. McCollum, play on the court with C.J. McCollum. That'll make him a lot better, but he's going to get better through being out there and living this life day to day that he wants to.
And as much as I remember people bring this up with football and basketball, it's you can learn off the court, watch how this person does this and that. The best experience is playing in game, Ben, and just throwing Tre Johnson out there with the Wolves. I just want to see it. If he's not starting, he better be the sixth man, Ben, because if he's less than a sixth man, then it's like, yo, what are we doing?
He's ready. I think he's ready for the challenge, and I think he's going to prove it very early on into his rookie season. All right, when we come back, some of the depth pieces the Wizards have at center, how can they step up and how can they help out this year? We'll tell you. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've been put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. One thing that surprised me about Monarch is that I identified I wasn't saving as much money as I thought. I noticed some inefficient investments, and I was able to maximize my investments and increase savings rate, effectively reviewing my finances with my partner and keeping a clear view of my financial health week to week and long term. Do not let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA. All right, we spent the entire first 15 minutes of this episode talking about Alex Sarr. Is he going to be the type of true center player that Wizards fans hope he can be? I mean, a lot of Wizards fans are out there have already written off Alex Sarr playing the center long term. They think he's going to be a stretch four player that can dominate with his interior presence defensively. Fine. Like, I understand the thinking with that. But how could some of these guys like Bagley and TV help him out? I know Tristan Vuckevic, he's only going into year number 3, so it's not like he's got really any more experience. He's played in less games in his career than Alex Sarr has because he didn't play a whole lot through his first 2 years. But if you see those two on the floor together or Bagley and him on the floor together, don't you think AB, it ultimately would actually help him out quite a bit?
100%, I think so, Ben. I think TV's skill set and Alex Sar could be something interesting to watch when it comes to a front court. Both 7-footers, both guys that want to stretch the floor. I think if you can find a way to balance them each other out, create mismatches for opposing defenses, and like you mentioned, TV needs to be unleashed too, Ben. There were times last year where I was frustrated. I would see Rashawn Holmes get more minutes than TV in a game where the Wizards were clearly not competing in at all. And I think TV is kind of has the similar issues with Alex Sar when it comes to physicality, when it comes to rebounding, and I'm hoping that both of them can somewhat learn from each other. And I think it was last year, the last game against Miami, he had a double-double TV, and when I saw that, I'm just like, that's what he's gonna build on come year 3 of this team, and I think he can be an essential part of this team. I know a lot of people love Tre, a lot of people love the vets that the Will Dawkins has brought in, Justin Champagne, AJ Johnson, but TV is a guy that's just not talked about. I think he's the most slept-on player on this team right now, and I think Marvin Bagley, I think he's a good addition as well, bringing him back. I think it's a good group. It obviously could get better. Maybe you could add a big come trade deadline, or maybe in the 2026 draft. But I really want to see what we have in TV, and I think him and Alex Sarr could be a fun duo.
Yeah, absolutely. I would 100% agree with you that I think he's a bit slept on in a way right now, and people kind of underestimate the role that he could have for this team in the future, whether it's coming off the bench for this team or eventually starting some games later in the season if maybe Bagley's not here anymore or not. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pull off this thing where they trade Bagley again at the deadline, but ultimately it'd be nice if they could get something for him if they don't feel like he's serviceable to have around for the rest of the season. But Tristan Vuckevic is such an interesting case, and he got to play with Serbia in the Eurobasket this summer, and one of the things that he brought up was the experience of playing with Nikola Jokic, and he said that he took away a lot from that experience and was able to ultimately learn a lot of aspects about his game that he could improve upon. He said maturity was the number one thing. And I know Jokic gets this rap that he hates basketball because every time they ask him like how it feels to win, he just goes, I don't know, I won. Like, I just won the NBA Finals. I won MVP. That's cool. So people think he hates basketball, but he carries himself in a way that doesn't give somebody that hates basketball, just from his on-court presence and the way he carries himself throughout practice in a day-to-day life. Like, Jokic clearly takes it seriously. That's why he's the best player in the world right now. And I think it's good that Vucevic was able to maybe pick up some skills and learn some things from a guy like that. That's a good guy to learn some stuff from.
Did you see, Ben, that pass he had? I think it was yesterday. That was, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, so right now they have the projection for 2025-6 on Basketball Reference at Vucevic that he'll be playing in his per 36. They don't have a projection on his total minutes or anything that he'd play. But as it stands right now, they would have him attempting around 16 field goals per game. So that's a lot.
Wait,
per 36.
16?
It says 16 field goals attempted per game. His projection is per 36. I mean, I don't know how many minutes you're going to see him playing or how many games you'll see him playing 36 minutes out there. But if that were the case, then maybe you do see like an aggressive Tristan Vuckevic out there on a night-to-night basis in that way. Trying to pull up the
I was going to say, Ben,
right,
sorry to cut you off, but do you think out of TV, the two-way guys, he's going to be the one most likely to be elevated from that contract?
I think so. It just seems like maybe he could carve out the role where they say, as an organization, yeah, it's time for Tristan Vuckevic to get moved up to the standard contract. And we know that this roster is going to change a whole lot as the season goes on, post-trade deadline. Like, which of these veterans are still going to be around? Will any of them be around? Could players just potentially be waived at some point in the year if they feel like they want to try different things? I feel like you might see the opportunity. One, he gets 50 games to play in maxed out anyway. I fully expect him to play in all 50 games. I think it would be malpractice if you don't see him reach that 50-game limit. Jameer Watkins on the two-way contract as well. I want to see him a good amount at some point. He might be a guy you're going to see in the G League a lot to start the year just because of the logjam they have on the wings. But defensively, he's good enough to be out there on the floor. And I know that's a bold proclamation for a guy that hasn't played an NBA minute, but I really think he could go out there and actually give you competitive minutes defensively right now. I just don't know if he'd have enough offensively to see the court, but we should see him at some point, and I'm certain we will.
Especially since we're a team that desperately needs defense, Ben. As much as I talk about rebounding, defensively, this team needs to get better.
100%. Let us know what you guys think. Alex Sarr, should we see him shoot the three ball at a high volume once again this year? Is it going to look better than it did last year? And how do you feel about his super poor numbers shooting from under 3 feet from the basket? Does that concern you? Will he be better at that in year number 2? We want to hear from you guys. Ask us questions. Mailbag tomorrow. We put out a poll, or not even a poll. I put out a post on our Twitter at Locked On Wizards. You're not following already. I put one on a post in YouTube. So please ask us some questions ahead of the mailbag. We will answer them in tomorrow's episode. But right now, that'll do it for us today on Locked On Wizards. A lot more to get to as the week rolls on, but we're going to keep it going here on Locked On Wizards. For my co-host Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, DC family. We'll talk to you tomorrow.